between national development, politics, and the civil service. It must take very special ability to present 3 books at the same time. It speaks to the excellence in the man. It is said that if you are going to achieve excellence in big things, you develop excellence in little things. Excellence is not an exception. It is a prevailing attitude. It is about being the best, striving to be better. It is cultivated over a period of time. It emerges from continuous improvement. It is a corollary of passion and performance. And this totally describes our author and the man that we're celebrating this morning. Professor Sylvester Monye, MFR, a technocrat, an academic, first-class civil servant, policy expert, and a committed Nigerian. So if you say he is excellence walking on 2 legs, you'll be right. So it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to the presentation of these amazing 3 books, a compendium of National Development Plans 1999 to 2020, concession of Asaba International Airport, and the Ministerial Scorecard. Amazing, wonderful books, as I welcome all of you. To welcome all of us here, it's my honor and pleasure to hand the microphone to our father, a statesman, an amazing person. You won't believe that this our daddy was in Abeokuta this morning, left at 6 a.m., and by 9 a.m. he's in Abuja. And I'm very sure 40-year-olds can't do that. Let's put our hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen, as I welcome here Chief Olusegun Obasanjo GCFR, our chairman today. I welcome you, sir. The agility is top-notch.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. Your Excellencies and Your Excellencies, you will kindly permit me to stand on the established protocol, except, of course, to specially recognize, acknowledge, and commend the, is it celebrant we call you, or author we call you, or academic, special academic? Well, you merit all. And that's Professor Sylvester Monye. I am delighted to chair this auspicious occasion of the public presentation of 3 significant and major books on public policy and national development by Professor Sylvester Monye. Before I say what I know about the books, and there will be very little, so don't get worried that I will be standing here for too long. Let me say what I know about the author of the books and how our path came to cross. It was in September 2006 that Professor Osita Ogbu first introduced Sylvester Monye to me as a possible candidate for the position of Executive Secretary of the National Planning Commission. Professor Monye was at the time Director of International Economic Relations at the Federal Ministry of Finance. Professor Ogbu had just resigned as my economic advisor and the Chief Executive Officer of the National Planning Commission to contest election for the governorship of his home state of Enugu. I did not know Professor Monye well enough to make such an important decision without further consultation. So I asked Professor Chukwuma Soludo, who was the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria and my acting economic advisor, for his opinion. He supported Osita Ogbu's recommendation and advised that I approve Professor Monye's appointment. So I did. Not long after Professor Monye's appointment, I left office as President of Nigeria. I therefore didn't have ample opportunity to assess his work at National Planning Commission firsthand, but from what I have heard, he did his best in that assignment, and part of what we are going to present today publicly is his assessment of the work in that respect. Later, Professor Monye became President Goodluck Jonathan's special advisor on performance management. In that capacity too, I understand he made significant contribution, and maybe President Goodluck Jonathan can attest to that. One of the books being launched today is titled The Compendium on National Development Plans, 1999 to 2020. The book was produced to fill the obvious gap in the availability of critical and historical information on national planning in Nigeria. The compendium pulls together in a single volume all the plans ever produced, adopted, and implemented in Nigeria between 1999 and 2020, a period of unbroken democratic governance. The compendium raises fundamental questions that should exercise the minds of policymakers. For instance, with the rich history of development planning, why is Nigeria still struggling with development? Does national planning actually serve the purpose of delivering development, or is it done just to fulfill all righteousness? With its rich content, the expectation is that this compendium will quickly become a major resource for national development planning professionals, academics, and enthusiasts of national planning in Nigeria. The foreword for the book was written by Dr. Mrs. Zainab Shamsuna Ahmed, former Minister of Finance, Budget, and National Planning. The review and presentation of the book will be performed by Senator Bukola Saraki, former President of the Senate. The second book being presented today, The Ministerial Scorecard, Critical Lessons in Performance Management, is an account of Professor Monye's tenure as Special Advisor to President Goodluck Jonathan. The book reviews performance management in the public sector in Nigeria and compares it with other countries. It exposes the near absence of performance management culture in our public sector and speaks to the importance of embedding effective implementation mechanisms in our national development plans. The foreword to this book was written by former President Goodluck Jonathan. The review and presentation of the book will be performed by Boss Mustapha, former Secretary to the Government of the Federation. The third book for today's occasion is titled The Concession of Asaba International Airport, Balancing Politics and Policy Execution. Clearly, this book is a byproduct of the work he did as Governor Ifeanyi Okowa's senior policy advisor. The book captures attempts made by the Okowa government to infuse transparency and integrity in the conduct of government business. I had the pleasure of writing the foreword to this third book. The review and presentation of the book will be performed today by former Governor of Ekiti State, Professor Kayode Fayemi. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before I take my seat, let me commend Professor Monye for documenting his experience in the public service for posterity. There's need and great need for more people who have occupied critical positions of leadership in this country to document and share their experiences as Professor Monye has done, so that others can benefit from those experiences. I have heard people saying to me that the reason why they don't do this is because of criticism. I believe that that is not a good enough excuse. I wrote a book about my experience in the war. I titled it My Command. Somebody who is avowed or was avowed critic of mine decided to criticize the book even without reading it. But the book served the purpose that I wanted it to serve, just to put on record the experiences that I had in the war front. The book has now turned out to be one of the textbooks in the military for officers to pass their promotion exam. And that is what I believe should be done by any of us who has had opportunity to occupy an important leadership position. It is for posterity, and not doing it will amount to shirking responsibility. Professor Monye, once again, I congratulate you. I thank you all for your attention, and may God bless you all.
Let's appreciate our father, an amazing man, former head of state of Nigeria, as he steps down. The man is actually jogging down, not stepping down. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency. We appreciate you, and we say thank you to God for your health.
Your Excellency, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, Chief President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and truly the father of this great nation. Your Excellency, former President of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck, Jonathan, Professor Kayode Fayemi, former Governor of Ekiti State, Boss Mustapha, former Secretary of Government, former Governor of Delta State, Manu Duaga, former Chief of Staff to President Goodluck, and of course, the author, good friend, Professor Monye and his lovely wife, and our good friend, Steve Oransaye, all former governors present, leaders of this great country, members of National Assembly. Please permit me to stay there for now in protocol. It gives me great pleasure this morning to be asked to review the Compendium on National Development Plans 1999 to 2020. To the best of my knowledge, this is the first time such a book is being produced, and I want us to commend the author for this great attempt. The research that must have taken to be able to produce such a book shows you the capacity and the ability of my good friend and brother, Sylvester. The common quote that says that if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail, goes also to any nation that does not have a development plan. And that emphasizes the importance of books like this that go into the root of nation building and national development. In this book, there are 9 parts to it. The first part is an overview of the journey from the first National Development Plan produced post-independence in 1962, right up to the last one, Economic Recovery Plan, Growth Plan. For me, actually, it is also something personal, because I remember that my first outing in public service was to be called upon in 1996 by General Abacha in Vision 2010, when I became a member of the Vision 2010 and as the youngest member of that committee, and that was where this journey into public service started, and it has refused to stop. But this area of national planning is something that's of great passion to me, and I'm sure to many of us here who appreciate the importance of planning. The second part of the book talks about the National Economic Empowerment Development Strategy needs under President Obasanjo's government. Needs, as we all know, then was focused on reorientating our values, reducing poverty in the land, creating wealth, and generating employment. The book talks about what set needs apart from other development plans. If you all remember, needs had the plan reflected the true needs of the people, but also took into cognizance the important role of coordinating between federal, state, and local government in working towards the national plan. The book goes on to describe how it aimed to empower people, create jobs, improve healthcare, housing, and protect the vulnerable. In that second part, about 6 chapters, we talks about the vision of needs, talks about the challenges facing Nigeria, talks about the macroeconomic framework that promotes private enterprise. That is looking at how to create a more efficient and responsible public sector, improving security and administration of justice. Chapter 4 talks about the social charter, about how do we invest in the Nigerian people. Chapter 5 goes on to talk about private enterprise promotion. And chapter 6 talks about the sectorial strategies. The third part of the book talks about the 7-point agenda of President Yar'Adua. In the spirit of continuity, President Obasanjo had handed over its 2 draft document to his. So in conclusion, on the whole, the compendium is a major source of national development planning, not only for professionals, academics, and enthusiasts of national planning. It is my view that this book should be highly recommended for any people or any person seeking national office or public office at any level. I think that it is very important for our country that when people go to seek office, they have a better understanding of where the country is and where we intend to take the country. Unfortunately, most of our leaders seek office for the sake of office as opposed to what they intend to do with the office. But if you do not even have an idea of what the country is about, then what are the chances that you can add any value to this country? That's why I must commend you, Professor Monye, that there might be the thinking that is only for academicians. No, I think that anybody, even seeking at local government level, must understand where we are as a country and what are the plans ahead. And I believe I want to recommend it to all Nigerians at all who have, I'm sure all Nigerians have one ambition or the other. So that means that this is a book that everybody should take time to read and will help us in building a greater country of tomorrow. Now, gentlemen, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Let's appreciate him as he packs his papers and steps down. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Your Excellency, President Olusegun Obasanjo, who is the chairman of this occasion, Your Excellency, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, Your Excellency, my co-reviewers, Your Excellencies and their representatives, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to stand on already established protocol. Let me also acknowledge Professor and Dr. Mrs. Monye, the author, and his lovely wife. I'm reviewing the ministerial scorecard, Critical Lessons in Performance Management. It's a very comprehensive guide by Sylvester Monye and published by the African Institute for Public Policy, with 11 insightful chapters spanning 350 pages. Monye delves into the intricacies of performance management in ministerial roles, offering valuable lessons and practical strategies for effective governance. The book is divided into 3 parts, dealing with relevant thematic issues. Part 1 begins with an introduction that sets the stage for understanding the significance of performance management in public administration based on the abridged versions of all plans that have been produced by the National Planning Commission from 1999 to 2020 in Nigeria. Chapter 2 of the book presented the framework and strategies for implementation of National Economic Empowerment and Development Strategy, NEEDS. Monye emphasizes the importance of accountability, transparency, and measurable outcomes in evaluating ministerial performances. He argues that a robust performance management framework is essential for policy implementation, achieving developmental goals, and fostering public trust. In Chapter 3, the book covers the transportation systems of Nigeria, which is one of the 4 sectors prioritized in the 7-point agenda of President Umaru Yar'Adua's administration. The chapter also explores the potentials in telecommunications, power sector, food security, health sector, education, and human capital development and national security. Chapter 4 dwells on Nigeria's Vision 2020, which was aimed at rallying all Nigerians regardless of ethnicity, economic status, or religion to unite the country on the path of sustainable growth in Committee of Nations. Chapter 5 of this great work offers the reader the detailed framework with the Transformation Agenda 2011 to 2015 of President Goodluck Jonathan's administration, beginning with a macroeconomic framework and economic direction to governance, including key policies for the real sectors. Chapter 6 explores various aspects of the economic recovery and growth plan from 2017 to 2020, highlighting performance management, starting with defining clear objectives and key performance indicators, KPIs, for ministerial slots. He wrote about the drawback in the implementation of the ERGP. He emphasizes the need for alignment between government priorities, ministerial mandates, and performance metrics to ensure accountability and track progress effectively. Chapter 7 highlighted the pillars upon which transformation agenda was constructed. The priority sectors of the economy, including socio-economic considerations, budgeting, the context upon which the Jonathan iteration of performance evaluation was conducted, and the challenges therein. The chapter also speaks to the near absence of budget performance monitoring and evaluation in Nigeria's public sector. The book provides real-world case studies, best practices, and actionable recommendations for assessing performance, identifying gaps, and implementing performance improvement strategies in Chapter 8 with a review of performance management systems in Russia, the USA, Argentina, Mexico, Brazil, India, and Indonesia. These countries were considered relevant because of their similarity to Nigeria in terms of endowment with crude oil and gas, huge agricultural sector, and political systems. The countries reviewed were used for the development of performance evaluation of the pilot ministries under the transformation agenda of the Goodluck Jonathan administration. Part 3 of the book presents the outcome of the pilot ministerial scorecard, as Chapter 9 discussed the framework and methodology for the ministerial scorecard, while Chapter 10 presents the key performance indicators for ministers and critical explanations for the performance. One of the strengths of the ministerial scorecards lies in its practical approach to performance management. He emphasizes the role of data-driven decision-making, performance reviews, and stakeholder engagement in driving continuous improvement and results-oriented governance. The book in Chapter 11 also delves into the challenges and complexities of performance management in the public sector, including issues related to resource constraints, bureaucratic hurdles, and political dynamics. Monye offers insight into navigating these challenges, building strategic partnerships, and hosting or fostering a culture of performance excellence within ministerial teams. Throughout the chapters, he emphasizes the importance of leadership, accountability, and innovation in driving performance outcomes. The book highlights successful performance management initiatives in different ministerial portfolios, showcasing how effective leadership, clear communication, and adaptive strategies can lead to impactful results. The author synthesizes vital lessons and takeaways from the book, reiterating the core principles of performance management and their relevance in driving good governance and sustainable development. He underscores the role of continuous learning, evaluation, and adaptation in improving ministerial performance and delivering tangible benefits to citizens. I would encourage us all to make our time to read the book. As I conclude, I would like to say that the book re-echoes the ever-enduring statement by Peter Drucker to the effect that, and I quote, "You can't manage what you cannot measure." Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you for that detailed review, Your Excellency. For the final book, The Concession of Asaba International Airport, we invite His Excellency Professor Kayode Fayemi, CON, to the stage, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, our father, President Olusegun Obasanjo, former Nigeria's president, Your Excellency, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, the former president of the Nigerian Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, the former secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustapha, Excellencies, my colleagues who are here, former governors, distinguished leaders, celebrant, author, academic, all the three rolled into one as Baba's eminently directed, and my sister, his wife, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Our MC Ebele wondered why three eminent personalities would be asked to do reviews, and with all of us accepting to do so without hesitation. If you can find two former presidents here, I think that's enough of a statement to how much we regard the author of this book. But mine is a bit more personal than that. The part of Sylvester that many people here may not know. I am the person who can talk to you about it because he's seen as a prim and proper academic who just does his work, gentleman, the way Baba has rightfully described him, right from his days as executive secretary at the National Planning Commission to President Jonathan, special advisor, to my brother, Dr. Okowa, senior policy advisor. Well, let me bust that bubble. Some of you may know that in my previous life, I used to run an underground radio in the democracy challenged days when Baba was safely kept away somewhere in this country. I used to run Radio Kudirat. What many may not know was that I also had colleagues in that struggle in exile, and Sylvester Monye was one of them. So if I'm here to do this, he just made a phone call. He just called me. I was at work in London, and he said, Kayode, we're doing this, and I want you to review the book. So it was more of a directive, and I really don't know anything about how the others got invited, but really that's how I got invited here to do this. And it gives me really immense pleasure to have been asked to do this review. And it is, in addition to what you've heard about the other two books, it's a unique offering from the writing stable of Professor Sylvester Monye. For me, as a student of politics and policy, I consider the concession of Asaba International Airport, balancing politics and policy execution, a masterclass in policy management in a complex political environment. As a politician who have also had the experience of building an airport from scratch, I could relate to many of the challenges highlighted in the 250-page, 4-part, 10-chapter book published by the African Institute for Public Policy with a foreword by our father, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. As a senior policy advisor to Governor Fayemi Okowa, saddled with the responsibility of making the Asaba International Airport work without constituting a financial burden on Delta State, the perspective of the book throughout is one from the inside looking out. From the outside, people in government often look all-powerful. On the inside, though, they often feel helpless, stretched sometimes beyond breaking point by the weight of expectations on the one hand, and the sheer complexity and difficulty of meeting those expectations on the other. And this was exactly the position Professor Monye found himself when he was given the task to make Asaba International Airport work. And for his objective assessment of what previous governments had done in the book, and you find it there. He has provided a cure, just as Baba has said, for one of the most debilitating ailments of many of us privileged to serve in high office, our reluctance and refusal to document our experiences for the benefit of others who have a lot to learn from such experiences. And I hope others will take a cue from him and write about their own experiences as well. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Professor Kayode Fayemi, former governor of Ekiti State, former chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum.
There are two key people: the person that will introduce the book, then the reviewers. After listening to them, the remaining thing is to unveil the book and launch. So they have done the work, and I don't intend to add to the literature that they have already covered comprehensively. We have to thank President Obasanjo for sharing and introducing the book and introducing the author. So we don't need to introduce the book and introduce the author again. And the scholarly presentation by the three reviewers. In fact, you have done wonderfully well. We thank you so much. Yeah. For me, let me just appreciate Prof. And of course, everybody said that he worked with me. He worked with me as my special advisor on performance monitoring and evaluation. That was the first time we became very close. So I was not surprised that one of the books has to do with ministerial scorecards, something that the Secretary of Government elaborated on what the Buhari government did and what probably the current government is also doing. And that is a very good thing. The ministerial scorecard somehow links up with the issue of national development and plans, because I believe that probably as we move on, we should be able to link up with the politicians that when we are campaigning, Akpata is campaigning now. When we are campaigning, we tell our country what we can do. So I think we should be able to link up our campaign promises to the national development plans of the country. And of course, the ministers are to execute these plans. So we need to know their scorecards so that we'll be able to serve our country the way we're expected to serve. So Prof, thank you for bringing these two books. They are very useful to us. And I listened to the reviews and I'm quite pleased. You know, for people who work in government, there are mainly two reasons why people write books. The most common one is that people write books to defend themselves if there were controversies during their, the period they served. So they want to explain their position regarding those controversies or to advertise themselves, what they did. And some of the books go that way. But the other one is somebody trying to share what government does for future people to read and improve on it. And listening to the reviews from the trade, Prof, you did very well. You didn't bring us here to promote yourself or to defend controversies around you during your services at the central government and even at the state government. But tell us things that were done and how we can improve on it. And these are the kind of books we love. To me, your books will help me. Maybe one day I will also sit down to compile what I did. And your books will really help to highlight some of these issues, especially the issues of policies, because the government is driven by policies. We cannot run a government just like, sometimes I used to say, not derogating the women, but like a woman managing a kitchen. If she carries some money, go to the market, wanted to cook egusi soup, but that day the cost of egusi is too high, and okay, no, let me manage okra. A government cannot run that way. We must have a plan. And sometimes ago, we really have good plans. 50 years, 25 years, 10 years, 5 years, the national annual budget. I hope we'll go back to those days. And if we have plans, yes, plans will be modified based on the exigencies of time. But if we have clear plans that will really help us to move forward, the development of nations will be better, and things will not be built because of the caprices of those who are in power. Because I'm in power today, I can decide to go and build a 20-story building for government in my village, when we know that that 20-story hotel, is it for rats or the cockroaches, I didn't know. But these are projects that were not based on plans. So the issue of planning is critical for our development. But just like as I've said, I wouldn't want to belabor the issues. We have listened to the chairman that introduced the speaker and introduced the book. And of course, the 3 book reviewers have done fantastically well. So I just come to really commend the author and thank all of you for coming. Thank you all.
It is an honor and distinct pleasure to congratulate you, Sylvester, our very own Professor Monye, on the occasion of the launch and presentation of 3 books. It speaks to the kind of intellectual you are, that you have been working not just on 1 book, but on 3 that capture the essence of some of the most important work done during our time in the Obasanjo and Jonathan administrations, as well as your time in Delta State under the Okowa administration. Putting together a compendium of our development plans over the past 2 decades is very helpful, as people often forget that many of government's projects and programs were implemented in the context of well-thought-out development plans. The availability of such plans also enables us to see and assess what was or was not accomplished. Sharing with the public a book outlining the ministerial scorecard reminds everyone that the governments we serve were accountable and ministers were expected to deliver. Finally, outlining the process and commendable results of the first successful concessioning of an airport in the country provides the basis to call for more such fiscally and managerially responsible projects. All in all, Sylvester, you have put together precious information that enhances knowledge about the economic management of our country. I'm delighted to see our 2 wonderful bosses, Presidents Obasanjo and Jonathan, gracing the occasion. I want to thank you for the service of knowledge sharing rendered to Nigeria and the world. I am sorry I cannot be with you at the book launch due to conflicting schedules. I want to wish you the very best of luck and hearty congratulations.
It will be out of order, Your Excellencies, if I do not make a little comment and thank His Excellency Dr. Ebele Jonathan for finding time to be here. I must confirm that sometimes when you do planning, some people also try to unplan. And so while Sylvester was busy putting these 3 very interesting and current books together, and also making sure that the best of the best who are Nigerians are seated here today, I was on my own on planning that I would not want and be in a position to address two former presidents of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But here I got disappointed because his planning actually took me off guard. And so I have the greatest opportunity and humility to make little comment while both of them are seated here today. I think this is actually one of the best crowds I've ever seen in any book launch. Indeed, those who have contributed immensely to the sustenance and growth and development of Nigeria since independence are here seated. When you have two former presidents and so many secretaries of government, so many governors, including even the governor that was governor to all the other governors as chairman of Governors Forum, who also ran very serious economic input in Nigeria. I recall very vividly that while President Olusegun Obasanjo Baba was president of this nation, I had just 1 minute little engagement with him. Baba may have forgotten, but I recall one evening that I visited Aso Rock while you were seated in power. And I was there with Owele Rochas Okorocha, the immediate past, the former governor of Imo State. And while we were there, you thought aloud, and you wanted to actually build the economical center in Abuja. And as soon as Rochas Owele Okorocha introduced me as then an MD of a bank in Nigeria, and then you said, oh, you are going to be the chief fundraiser immediately. And so without even finding out whether I do have the capacity to do that, you gave me that appointment. And I had to stand that very fateful morning thinking I was going to be the chief fundraiser, only to find out that you were going to even force me and make me to actually be the chief launcher of the occasion. Baba, you are wonderful. Thank you so much, sir, for always trying to implement things that some people think might be impossible to be implemented. I also do recall that I had very few minutes encounter with our dear brother, father of Niger Delta, Dr. Ebele Jonathan, former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In 2014, when I ran for the governorship of Delta State, but along the line got confused, and so had to leave APC to join PDP. I recall again with nostalgia that after we had a speech that day, we became a bit close. But thank God that why we are here today is to actually do some documentation of certain ingredients of economic development in Nigeria. These 3 books are exceedingly very interesting. I actually haven't had the time to actually look at it and read line by line. But I happen to be a member of the team that actually did the concessioning of the Asaba International Airport. A lot was said about that by the chairman of Governors Forum, former governor of Ekiti State, and I align myself so seriously with all your contributions and comments regarding that book. I think if there was anything that happened to Delta State, the concession of that airport was a very major feat in the real sense of it. And so clearly, all the drains of funds that were going in trying to publicly manage the airport became at least completely stopped moving forward. And so today in Delta State, we no longer have any recurrent expenditure in trying to run that airport. And I can boast and say with my head up that that airport appears to be the best today in Nigeria. I am not representing myself. I represent today the governor of Delta State, Elder Francis, Right Honorable Sheriff Orokwodo Oborowori, who is currently the governor of Delta State. Deltans are extremely very intelligent. And if I tell you in this audience that I have actually represented my governor in the past 4 weekends in launching and presentation of books, you think I am joking. And therefore, even though I know that my dear brother Sylvester Monye, professor, will expect me to make a pronouncement of funds today, it will be very difficult for me to do so because I'll be standing out of order. The real reason is that next week, I will also be representing another launch. And so we need to be careful the kind of pronouncements we make in this kind of book launch. Otherwise, if we use the law that we have for you to make a pronouncement here, we might find out that we are setting targets that we'll be unable to fulfill. So permit me, therefore, to state very categorically that we love you. Thanks for all the time that you have taken. And indeed, you are, in terms of structure, you can be seen to be a bit deceitful. You look mean. And nobody will have thought that even at this time, you will be able to put all this together. Thank you so much, Professor Monye, for standing out for Deltans and indeed for Niger Delta and in general, the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We will get back to you because we know that you have worked so hard. Indeed, I saw you in London where you were almost getting to the grave, but God brought you back to actually make sure that this happened in the presence of all of us and at the same time in the presence of our Baba, the owner of Nigeria. We will get back to you, sir. Thank you so much. And very many thanks for coming. God bless.
I don't know if I'm the only one who feels like that. The commissioner just played politics now. Honorable Commissioner of Finance, Delta State. Honorable Commissioner, I will go back to the incident you said Baba made you a chief launcher. Professor Monye is a proud son of Delta State. By the powers conferred on me as a master of ceremony, you are the chief launcher here today. So whether you are going against any law or not, you carry out your role as chief launcher. And so let me also welcome here another person who is absolutely proud of that airport, who uses it very regularly, who just winked at me that if the Commissioner of Finance does not accept the role of chief launcher, I am here for Professor. Let me welcome Senator Ned Nwoko. You know, as he's hiding in that corner, that's a Bullion van standing. I welcome you, sir.
Your Excellency, President Olusegun Obasanjo, our own father. Your Excellency, President Goodluck Jonathan, our father. Please, all Your Excellencies present, our top Nigerians and leaders, please permit me to stand on already established protocol. I am here to represent the former governor, Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, who is very unavoidably absent, and he has asked me to be here. But I think I qualify very well to stand in, but I know my elder brother, Professor Monye, would have loved to see his brother. But I'm here for you. He has asked me to be here to share his joy, not just his joy. I've had the opportunity to read the book, and I know what you people went through. I was the Commissioner for Information when you started the project. I ended up as an SSG, and I saw it operate, and not only that, as the current DG, Director General of the Capital Territory, the airport is in my territory. So I have a very good account of what you went through. But in order not to waste our time, I only want to mention one thing. I remember there was huge pressures on Professor Monye and his team to see whether there's a way the government can tilt it to suit some people. Our governor, Senator Kowa, was not moved. That committee did not move. And I had to speak to the press severally. And I think that is one example that when we are determined, within people with high integrity in government, we can achieve a lot of things. And when we read this book, this is one aspect I want us to look at. Calls were coming even to me, those we know who have applied to be part of it. And I'm sure that at the end, we chose the very best. Senator Kowa has asked me to come here to wish you the very best, to say congratulations. And we know you are going to do more because I have talked with you. I know there are a lot of accounts that you want to put together. I will not, my governor has spoken, but I've asked to do something, but I will do it at the right time, but very quietly. But before I leave, I want to say that Delta State is one very big family. When you put in terms of percentage, those issues were mentioned here that was our trouble in the past. I can tell you that we have surmounted it and now at least we are about 85% moving forward. It's one big happy family. God bless you all and God bless you. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, Chief General, and so on and so forth, Olusegun, Matthew, Obasanjo. Sorry, I purposely kept the Aremu. And Your Excellency, our second President, Chief Goodluck, Ebele Jonathan. Let me welcome everybody that is here present, including my good friend. I welcome you, sir. I am so excited that we are here gathered in Abuja to celebrate that airport. Gathered here because of the flanks I got when I was starting that airport. You are from down Delta South, and you are here in Delta North, trying to build an airport. How are we going to enjoy this airport? And like I did say, the airport is for everybody. Whether you are from Delta South, Delta North, or even from Nigeria, the airport is for all of us. And I'm happy that today that airport is standing there. Unfortunately, two people who played key roles in that airport, they are no more. Like I did say, by God's grace, God will be giving them more assignments to do when they come back to this world. MC, sorry, I don't want to talk too much, because if I go into the story of that airport, we will not live here today. But all I want to say is that the airport is there for all of us. And to correct one impression, thank you, Professor Monye, for your effort in concessioning that airport. And but much more importantly, to Mrs. Monye. You know, say we'll be colleagues. You've done very, very well in pushing your husband, because without massaging his waist, he might not be able to have done what he did. Thank you very much. Thank you. There is a last part. Okay. You know I'm still in government. So I will take permission from my governor to ask him what to say. When he has given me his permission, I'll come and tell you what I will say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Well, the time to say something is very near. At the unveiling here, I will hand over to the chairman of the occasion.
Your Excellency, the former President Olusegun Obasanjo, my own daddy, former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, my boss, the book reviewers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'll take not more than 2 minutes. Everything that needs to be said have been said, particularly by the book reviewers. But I would want to congratulate the author, my friend and brother, someone I had known even before he became the executive secretary of the National Planning Commission. I'm happy that former governors are here And I believe they can make good connections through the Governors Forum to urge that these books, which have been reviewed and will be presented later this afternoon, for these books to be purchased and distributed to state governments and federal government. The 3 books speak particularly to processes, and I'm very thrilled that it's about development, it's about the civil service that I'm very passionate about. And I have no doubt in my mind that they will remain apt for us to get to where we want to be as a nation. We are still very far away from our potentials. I trust that we'll be able to do this. And once again, I want to congratulate my brother and friend, Professor, for putting his thoughts to the books that will be unveiled very soon. Congratulations, my dear brother. Thank you.
Mr. President, Olusegun Obasanjo, my godfather, my political godfather, Mr. President, Goodluck Jonathan, my second political godfather, all the excellencies here present, let me say these few things very briefly. In coming here today, I was hoping that I will have the opportunity to tell the story of how the airport was conceived. The president, that's President Obasanjo, I recall very well in 1999 when I first discussed the airport with him. Then subsequently, he asked that I meet Kema Chikwe. Kema Chikwe was the aviation minister. Of course, at that time, I was in the House of Reps. I told Kema Chikwe that we needed an airport in Asaba. I had discussed with the body, then governor, but an airport in Asaba was not his priority at that time because there was another airport in Usubi in Warri. But I kept pushing until President Obasanjo approved the airport the year that he did. So I'm very grateful. That point ought to have been made. Of course, even the approval did not mean the construction. It was not until Governor Uduaghan became governor that I met with him and told him, look, but I met him with Ucho Uno, ULO, whom I had also told that we must build an airport in Asaba. So he quickly embraced it, and of course, the airport was built. He built it. So I said, thank you, Mr. Governor. On the book itself, I've known Professor Monye from our days in England. I was practicing law, and he was a lecturer at one of the universities. So I know that he is very competent. I know what he's made of. Eventually, we both came back to Nigeria, myself as a lawmaker, himself with the president here. I am not surprised that you put in the effort that you put in for these 3 books. You believe in planning. This has always been part of you. This is what I know. This is what I also believe can make us to grow as a nation. If we don't plan and maintain the implementation of those plans, nothing will ever happen. We can't, every government can't just come in and come in with their own ideas and then another one comes in and then discards all that. So there must be a sustainable long-term plan in Nigeria, which is what your book is all about. So I thank you very much. I think I should wait for the unveiling of the book before I show my support. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Prof, I am here on behalf of many Nigerians to tell you and that category of our patriots, who not many remember, to say we are grateful to you and we want to thank you for all that you have done so far. We know there's so much more for you to do, and of course through you to your lovely wife. Congratulations for doing this today. And that is with regard to the 2 books. But I'm a worry boy, so the Asaba Airport book, definitely the concessioning, is also very important to me. I'm of Edo origin, but those who know me know that I'm a worry boy. And so yes, Dr. Fayemi was right. Many of us, Dr. Dwaga's Keith and Kim, not just the Shekiris, his fellow worry boys were up in arms at some point about location of airports. But I think all have come to realize the wisdom in the siting of the airport and also in the way and manner it was executed, as you have said, from government to government, seamlessly. Full disclosure, Professor knows that I recognize what the transaction, I recognize as a corporate lawyer who has done PPP most of my corporate life. I called him very quickly when he was appointed. I said, Prof, how far? I said, look, you are too late. The transaction was gone, so I did not work on this transaction professionally. However, I am so impressed, Prof, that you found the time to put your thoughts down. You found the time to document that classic transaction that all PPP practitioners would definitely have a few things to learn. That presence of mind is not really available with many of us because the challenges of life make it so difficult. Just that everyday life challenges that we confront make it difficult for us to put our experiences down like this. So again, you have exhibited presence of mind, you have exhibited your scholarly disposition, and for that we honor you and we are grateful to you. And of course, as has been mentioned, everybody is now fully aware of my present pursuits, so you know that if things work out the way we have planned and the way we are praying, I will be able to use these 3 books very quickly and practicalize them at Dennis Osadebe Avenue. Thank you, I'm most grateful. Thank you very much.
This way. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. This is a very sweet book presentation.
The presentation is also the dedication. So we present and dedicate these 3 books written by what else again? How else do we describe him? We have yeah, and and the one we no get we dash him. I think we have heard and have said the good thing about books like this is that we learn lessons, and you have given leadership in that regard. So we present and dedicate these books to the honor and glory of God, but particularly for the development, growth, and progress of Nigeria. May it be so. Commissioner for Finance. Now you have said you won't talk publicly. I will not talk publicly either. But I will be following the progress made by you yes. So no figure should be mentioned because EFCC, I understand they are prowling around now. Yeah, so, but just give us assurance.
Baba, you know when you direct, we don't have any other option than to say, yes, Baba. You will follow up and you will hear from us, sir. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
There are 2 reviewers. Senate President, is it before or before? Oh yeah, come up. Senate President, you come up before. Come and talk. Boss, you two come up. You come and talk.
Baba wants you to, please. Former chairman, Nigerian Governors Forum.
Your Excellency Ababa, thank you. You have directed, and I would like to make a humble donation for figure of 2 million naira for the books, particularly the compendium. So, no, sir.
But Abi, you know, Yani, is that 2 million naira? Oh, no, he has to do better than that. That's why you didn't clap. Clap for him. Clap for him. Clap for him. Let's encourage him.
Well, if you give me a son as well, I'll announce the next one in case I need a son for anything After Effect. For the after effect of my movie donation, I'll take to 5 million naira. Thank you so much.
Well, Baba, you know I'm a teacher now.
Before you were a teacher, uncle.
I used to be a governor of a state that was number 34 on the revenue ladder. Sir, well, in solidarity with my brother, this is an excellent outing today, and we're all proud of what he has done. For two things. We also want to concession in Ekiti. So, on behalf of my governor, I will get some copies for an undisclosed sum, but I will tell him. For myself, I'll get the copy of the planning and development one and the ministerial scorecard for 2 million naira. I can't do what my big boss has done.
A clap.
Okay, I can get for Governor's Forum because there was a suggestion by my Steve Oransaye, and I know really Governor's Forum should. Many of our governors are involved in concessioning several state assets, and it's important for them to learn lessons from this beautiful work that has been written. And for the 36 current governors, I will get copies, and I will discuss with the current chairman of the Governor's Forum.
Boss, you are the boss of all bosses. My boss.
Your Excellency, on this matter, I'm not. But I think not only the books on concessionaire, I would advise that the ministerial scorecard is very important for the states, because while I was in office, I started a meeting of the forum of SSGs and the SGF. And those are some of the things that we worked on, because most times policy are formulated at the national level and are left hanging without proper cascading of those policies down to the state level. So I think all these books are very important for the state. So include all the books in the donation of the, on my, coming from my wife and I, we are personal friends of the Moyes. We go to the same church and we share a lot in common. We've picked up already a copy. I'll pick out a second copy for the sum of 2 million naira.
Thank you very much. Ned.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Well, on behalf of the good people of Delta North, otherwise known as Anyoma, I'm sure you know that most of your friends, the Okwechimes and the rest of them, were from there. Mr. President.
Go on. Are you going to tell me where my
Mr. President, you are always the same, always the same. And I will support the launch of this book with the sum of 10 million naira. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'll come to see you.
Thank you. Yeah. No, don't. No. When we get outsiders to support what we are doing inside, then we should also call insiders to come and support what we are doing inside. Governor Odwa, come. And whoever is representing Governor Okowa, you two will come. And after that, I will talk. Then I will jump down.
Yeah, they are holding meeting.
Thank you very much, Baba. You know, you are my godfather. I'm retired. So I'm going to make something for my friend, Prof. Because Baba is here to cover me. Ordinarily, I try not to make donations public. I'm going to present 2 million naira.
2 million naira.
On behalf of the former governor, I've been directed to make a donation of 5 million naira, which already has been paid into the account.
Thank you. Thank you. Leadership demands that President Goodluck Jonathan and I should do something. But I believe in this thing that the Bible says. What your right hand is doing, your left hand. So, wait, President Jonathan, on your behalf and on my behalf, we will do something. And we will do something substantial. But my right hand must not know what my left hand is doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
First of all, it's a very special day for me today to see the work that what has done over the last few years come to fruition. It's a result of a determination to attempt to put what I consider wrong right. The origin of the compendium, I'll just go very briefly because I know this is to do vote of thanks, but let me just say a word or two. I was doing an academic paper on planning, and I realized that I couldn't find any of our previous plans, whether needs, seeds, transformation agenda, and so on and so forth. And it was a little bit strange, bearing in mind that I was Executive Secretary of National Planning for 5 years. And National Planning was supposed to be the custodian of all our plans. But it wasn't just there. And it took me a while to find private copies of these plans from individuals. And I said to myself, it means there's a huge gap in knowledge that anybody who is doing research will have difficulties in finding these documents. As a matter of fact, if you ask anybody in this house whether you have a copy of NEETs, everybody knows about NEETs, but they don't have copies. Like today, everybody talks about renewed hope agenda. I'm not sure if anybody in this room has ever seen a copy of renewed hope agenda. That is the way it is in our country. So I felt that there was need for us to do proper documentation. And that's one of the reasons why I did that. And then, of course, naturally, after your tour of duty, you look back in your library, you will see materials that you say, no, you can't light a candle and put under the table. And that's why I did the ministerial scorecard. But before I did it, I went to His Excellency, my boss, and said, is it okay if we do it? Because there were some real life scorecards of ministers in selected priority sectors. So he said, of course, let's do it. And I said, sir, to authenticate it, will you do the forward? And he said, yes, I will do the forward. That's okay. That's how we ended up with the ministerial scorecard. But let me say one thing about the concessioning of Asaba Airport. That work was a job we did out of necessity. It was not necessarily because we wanted to do it, but because circumstances imposed on us that obligation. When I was appointed senior policy advisor to Governor Okowa, he charged me with a responsibility. One of those was to try to see what we could do with Asaba Airport because they said it was hemorrhaging. The airport was hemorrhaging. And I went back to him. I said, sir, to concession a state asset requires a minimum level of transparency, integrity, and commitment. He said, that's exactly why I want you to do it. So I said, okay, it means that we have to do it openly. He said, yes. I said, it means we have to advertise. He said, yes. It means that we have to give it to the best bid. He said, yes. I said, okay, fine. So I went away, did a memo, and said, sir, we discussed and we agreed as follows. And he said, yes, approved, go ahead. Now, what struck me after that approval was that we advertised for transaction advisors, and after the process, shortlisting, I went to brief him. Ordinary, in government, you have to report back. And he said, who won? Let me see. I gave him the list. He pulled his drawer, and there was a name. He said, oh, that company didn't even win, and they were disturbing me. Meaning that he had been under a lot of pressure to interfere with the process, but he said no, he didn't. So that was quite revealing. And then, of course, we went on and on and on. It was a process that we didn't have any reference point. The concessioning of MM2 was a terminal building. It was concession of a terminal building. Asaba Airport was everything: runway, terminal building, navigational issues, national security issues. I mean, that's the first time in Nigeria that we had to concession an airport. So the process was tedious, cumbersome, and we were learning as we went along. We went for a conference in Turkey to learn about concessioning, and they said to us, minimum will be 3 years, that you take us not less than 3 years. I looked at my colleague, George Orubu. I don't know whether George is here. I looked at my colleague. I said, George, can you imagine these people that are saying 3 years? We'll do our own in 6 months because we were in charge. He said, yes, don't mind them. You know, these Oyibo people, they will take their time. We will do our own. Anyway, the interesting thing is that we didn't do it in 3 years. We did it in 6 years. Meaning that they knew what they were talking about. We didn't know what we were talking about. But we did it. But let me say, I want to abridge because it's a long story. It's in the book. What is even more interesting was that I can't understand up to today how Governor Okowa will ask us to do an assignment with a caveat, do the right thing. And he didn't want to know who the bidders were. He didn't ask us to come and explain the bid process, except the reports were given, to the extent that the bidders who won, we went through the process. It took us 9 months to negotiate the agreement. After we did everything, the bidders came to us and the day before the sign of the agreement and said, we need to see the governor. He doesn't know us. We don't know him. How are we going to sign an agreement with a governor we don't know? This doesn't sound right to them. It's something fishy. It may not be genuine. That was how we insisted that the governor should meet with them, and he met the concessionaires 1 day before the signing of the agreement. That was how it done. So he never knew them. He didn't want to know. He just wanted the right things to be done. We had in the committee Sir Fidelis Okemo here, who I describe as intellectual warrior. We were fighting in our committee every day, fight. Everybody said, you must do it correctly. Everybody, it must be done properly. You know, the result today is that Asaba Airport has emerged as the only airport in Nigeria that is self-sustaining. It is the only airport that is self-sustaining. It's the only airport with master plan. It's the only airport that you have 24-hour runway lights powered by solar. It's the only airport that has free internet service. When you enter the airport, it's free. You begin to do your business. It is the only airport that is profitable today. It is the only airport that has a work plan. And all because we did the right thing. As a matter of fact, when we were doing the bidding process, just to underscore, we said to the bidders, we were going to introduce what we call bid bond of 100 million. That is to say, if you say anything that is not accurate in your bid, you lose 100 million. So if we discover in the process of due diligence that you have said something that is not correct, you lose 100 million. The second thing we did was to say, okay, for anybody who wants to take over Asaba Airport, you have to give us 1 billion signature bonus. These are things that were alien to us in the government transactions in Delta. They said yes. So we did that. We got 100 million naira bid bond, and we got 1 billion naira signature bonus. We got everything that I wanted. We said we needed at least 20% of the employees to be Deltans. Today, they are about 70%. All the parameters we set, we have far exceeded them. So I really want to seize this opportunity to say it can be done if we commit to transparency and integrity. And I want to seize this opportunity to also acknowledge Governor Ifeanyi Okowa for giving us the opportunity to show that it can be done. So I really want to start finally by thanking Baba for finding time to come. When I asked Baba if he could come, Baba, you remember, we went to Taye. Baba said, let's go. He went straight to Taye to check his diary. And everything was, the support was unbelievable. I want to thank you especially for being so generous with your time and counsel. We are very grateful. We are very privileged. I would like to take a picture with you and my boss so that I will show my children That these are my presidents. You know, it's not easy to find in one's lifetime 2 presidents coming to one function. I want to also thank President Jonathan. He's very unassuming, and he's so generous with his time. I don't know any president that is so calm. When you go to see President Jonathan, he will listen. He will listen. And he's not in a hurry to say, okay, you can go now. I always feel bad, sir, when I come to see, because I take his time. You know, I will tell stories, I will say this, I will say that. And the last time I was in your office, sir, you were so generous and gracious with your time. And I thank you for the privilege of knowing you, sir. I also want to thank SP, we'll call him SP, Senator Bukola Saraki. He's been a great pillar of support. It's, where is now? And I always say, I'm older than you, but you are my boss. He's been an amazing support. I don't know how to describe him. A very good friend. When I lost my father-in-law, he came down to Delta to be with us. When I was ill in England, he came to London to see me. I just can't thank you enough. When we were preparing for this event, he said, so what do you need? You must need money to prepare. So I thank you. I really thank you. Senator Bukola Saraki is a great man, is a great friend, and everybody knows me anyway, that I am Bukola Saraki's man. Even Tilije here would say, "It's not your man, be that." I say, "Yes, it's my man." So thank you very much. Dr. Fayemi, professor, our latest professor. You've said it all. We've known each other for a long time. When I saw his review, I said to him, well, he didn't let anybody down because you have a reputation. He's an intellectual. He's, when we were in Nadeko, he was writing all the speeches, all the big papers. You remember? All the big papers. He was in his PhD then. He would say, hey, where's Kayode? You know, go and write this paper. Go and do it. He has always been an intellectual. He has done extremely well for the Nadeko fraternity, although he didn't carry me along, but that's another matter. So I want to thank you. As a matter of fact, he came from London to do this review. So it shows the level of commitment. So I want to thank you very much. The boss of the bosses. It's my brother, my leader, and our anchor president in church. We're in the same church. So he's our president. So I went to him, I took liberty, I said, okay, I want you to review this thing. He said, okay, come now, let's do it. You know, so there was no ceremony. And so I'm very grateful. And thank you. And my brother and Oga, Chief Oghiadomhe, I don't know whether you know he has a PhD in public relations. He has not watched it, but like it's been over a year or 2 years. So he has a PhD, is it 2 years? So please, we need to watch it because he did it quietly. He has a PhD post-service. You can imagine PhD you did with pleasure. That's his own. His own was for pleasure. So, and he's extremely knowledgeable. He is a political genius. You know, he knows how to calculate one-on-one. So thank you very much. And my Oga, Dr. Duaga, in the book, I said that your place in history is assured. The reason is that if you read the book, you will see that developing an airport in Asaba was an explosive subject. But Dr. Duaga came to serve and serve the people of Delta State. He did what a lot of people didn't expect from him. What did he do? He accepted Asaba as a state capital. You know, we had some governors who didn't even sleep in Asaba because of issues. But he accepted Asaba. He built a bridge. He built a government house. Every major government structure in Asaba, he started, including Asaba. He built the current government house. He committed to developing Asaba as a state capital, while not forgetting other parts of the state. So I really want to give you a special recognition today, and thank you. It's all documented in the book that we have a Deltan, and thank you very much. The governor, I want to thank you again. Baba, permit me to acknowledge your son, Mr. Steve Oransaye. He's an amazing friend. We talk like 5 times a day, every day, because he guides me. I learn a lot. And even when I was coming up, somebody said, be careful that you will try and do a report on this and tell us to streamline the books and make it only one. I mean, he's a great friend and a brother. I look up to him, and it's wonderful. And when I see him, I always tell him something. Once I see him, I'll see Baba, because he is your true son, sir. He's your true son. So I want to thank you. And to everybody here, it's not easy to find time and spend a couple of hours at an event like this. And Senator Leah Limoka is there. I mean, there is Dr. Igali. I don't know whether he's still here. Okay, Dr. Igali actually came to represent Chief Ike Clark. I don't think he was appropriately acknowledged, but he actually came to represent Chief Ike Clark. I was with Chief Ike Clark yesterday. He assured me that Dr. Igali will come and represent him. So I want to thank Baba through Dr. Igali. So I want to thank everybody for coming, and God bless you as you go back. Thank you.